Alright, so let's talk genres. Specifically, the one genre that might be best for indie solo devs to tackle. But first, why should you even care about genres? Isn't a good game the only genre that really matters? Well, for solo devs, the genre that you pick can make or break your game. From the mechanics you need to code to the assets you need to create, the genre can really shape your entire project. So when I make a general statement like, you should make this, take that with a grain of salt, obviously, because it's not a one-size magical solution that fits everyone's goals and objectives and dreams. P.S. I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I actually chose a variation of this genre for my personal indie game dev project, which I'll be showing you more of at the end of this video. So let's get into it. Video game genres are important in game development because they help developers understand what types of games people like to play. This information guides them in creating games that are more likely to be enjoyed and successful. Knowing popular genres helps developers decide on game features, stories, and gameplay mechanics that fit what players are looking for. According to howtomarketagame.com, using Steam's data, you can see that in 2022, there was a total of 12,134 indie games released, but only 420 of them had more than 1,000 reviews. As of 2023, from a combination of total number of games released and the number of Steam reviews, 4 of the most popular genres for indie games were horror games, platformers, co-op games, and roguelikes, including subgenres like roguelike deck builders, for example. And the same trends continued into 2024. What's interesting here is the continued popularity in 2D platformers amongst indie devs, despite the recent lack of sales success. The abysmal underperformance of 2D platformers in 2024 highlighted that only a handful have had significant sales milestones or have earned 1,000+ reviews. But let's break them down anyways. Platformers. You've got your Celeste, you've got your Hollow Knight, even throwbacks like Super Meat Boy. Platformers are huge because they're simple, technically speaking. 2D graphics, basic movement mechanics, easy enough to make in comparison to big budget AAAs, but still challenging to master. A recent survey from the Game Developers Conference, or GDC, in 2022 discovered that 43% of developers think making games in 2D is simpler for different platforms, which aligns well with the increasing mobile and Switch markets. However, once again, according to Steam's data, we can see that 3D platformers are on the rise, and 2D platformers are decreasing in popularity. Perhaps due to the growing use of modern tools like Unreal Engine with its free 3D assets. So why are they popular? Well, there's nostalgia as a high selling factor for sure, but also they let devs focus on tight mechanics and satisfying level design instead of needing high-level art skills. Next up is horror games. In the realm of indie game development, horror games have emerged as a particularly potent genre, offering unique advantages for solo developers, like an emphasis on atmosphere over graphics, player engagement, and community support. Why are they popular for solo devs? For solo developers seeking a genre that balances creative freedom with market viability, horror games present a compelling opportunity. The combination of manageable development scope, strong player demand, and the potential for significant financial success makes horror an ideal choice for indie game development. In 2023, horror was among the top genres for indie games, with 28 titles achieving significant success, and this trend also continued into 2024. And here we go, roguelikes. I feel like we've seen a lot of these lately. Procedural generation, permadeath, endless runs. We're talking Hades, Spelunky, and the classic indie darling Dead Cells. Why are they popular? Roguelikes, or roguelites, are a bit of a cheat code for indie devs. With a limited budget, you're not gonna make a 100-hour campaign, but with roguelikes, you don't have to. You just build the systems and then the game can generate itself. Plus, players love the challenge, and you save on content. It's a win-win. In 2022, there were 10 action roguelikes that earned 1,000+ reviews. In 2023, there were 17, so it seems like it's still a trend that is still continuing indefinitely. So let's switch gears and talk success. What's the difference between popularity and success? The total number of games versus total units sold. According to the popular research platform VG Insights, or Video Game Insights, since 2020, the genres of indie games that have sold the most are RPGs, action-adventure games, strategy and tactics games, survival games, and simulation games. Let's break those down. Role-playing games. RPGs, you say? Yep, RPGs. They're ambitious, but games like Undertale and Disco Elysium prove that RPGs work for indie devs because they can focus on unique stories rather than cutting-edge graphics. Why are they successful? RPGs give players depth and connection. Think dialogue trees, character progression, exploration, all possible on a smaller budget if you focus on 2D or simpler graphics. With a solo dev's creative control, you can build worlds that make a strong impression without AAA level assets. Another big one is action-adventure games. There's a reason games like Hyper Light Drifter or Hollow Knight are adored by players and solo devs alike. Take Hollow Knight for example. Developed by Team Cherry, this masterpiece has become the gold standard for indie Metroidvanias. With its gorgeous hand-drawn art, haunting soundtrack, and deeply interconnected world, Hollow Knight has captured the hearts of millions. And when I say millions, I mean it. This game has sold over 3 million copies as of 2020, and its popularity has only grown since then. So why are they successful? It's all about immersion and exploration. These games are asset light if you're clever. They focus on tight combat mechanics, open worlds, and atmosphere instead of massive budgets. For solo devs, this genre strikes a balance between complexity and reachability. And we've also got strategy games like Into the Breach and FTL. These games get players hooked on decision-making rather than graphics. Tactics games are mechanics-driven. A solo dev can focus on creating clever systems without building flashy environments or animations. And players will return for the strategic depth, not just the graphics. There's also simulation and survival games. Simulation and survival games hold a unique place in the indie game space. These genres are all about immersion and player agency, often emphasizing exploration, creativity, and resource management. One of the biggest indie success stories here is Stardew Valley, a farming simulator with RPG mechanics. It's a great example of how a solo developer, Eric Barone, meticulously polished a game over years of development. And the result? A title that sold over 41 million copies, proving there's a massive audience for relaxing, cozy experiences that let players escape reality. For developers, if you create a sandbox world with endless replayability, you're tapping into an audience that might play your games for hundreds or even thousands of hours. And lastly, there's the survival genre, where games like Don't Starve by Clay Entertainment and Terraria have carved out massive audiences. Don't Starve combines a unique gothic art style with resource management and permadeath mechanics that keep players constantly on edge. Meanwhile, Terraria, often described as the 2D Minecraft, blends survival with exploration, combat, and crafting. It's sold over 44.5 million copies across all platforms as of 2023. Why are survival games so successful? It's the primal satisfaction of starting with nothing and building your way up to thriving. Players love the challenge and the sense of accomplishment. Indie devs can lean into this by offering unique settings, innovative survival mechanics, or co-op gameplay to set their games apart. So, before we reveal the ultimate genre for solo devs, let's address an important point. There's no guaranteed path to success in game development. Sure, certain genres might be more popular or easier to develop solo, but the reality is that the indie game market is unpredictable and fiercely competitive. Take Among Us, for example. It sat in obscurity for 2 years before blowing up into a cultural phenomenon overnight. Or Hollow Knight, which was originally funded through a modest Kickstarter campaign, but went on to sell millions of copies thanks to its timeless gameplay and word-of-mouth praise. These stories show that success often relies on timing, luck, and the emotional connection players feel with the game. Okay, so here's the big reveal. The ultimate genre for solo devs might just be roguelike RPGs. Why? They combine the best elements, replayability of roguelikes, and the depth of RPGs. Here are the core game design pillars of RPG roguelikes and why they make these games so engaging and arguably some of the best. Procedural generation equals infinite replayability. Why it's the best? Players are always presented with new surprises, forcing them to adapt and strategize on the fly. This infinite replayability adds immense value, keeping players hooked for hundreds of hours. Think Hades or Dead Cells. Dynamic progression system. Growth through experimentation. Why it's the best? Players get a sense of constant growth. Even if you fail, you're stronger, smarter, and better equipped for the next run. Think Slay the Spire or Children of Morta. Tactical gameplay. Decisions that matter. The balance between skill and strategy ensures that success feels like an accomplishment. It's a perfect marriage for action and thought. Meaningful RNG. Controlled chaos. RNG adds excitement, but giving players tools to mitigate bad luck ensures the gameplay feels fair and rewarding. Immersive storytelling. Building worlds through runs. This approach merges the addictive gameplay loop with emotional engagement, creating a stronger bond between the player and the game world. And finally, rewarding risk-taking. High risk, high reward. The thrill of taking calculated risk taps into human psychology, making every win feel hard-earned and every loss a valuable lesson. RPG roguelikes combine the personalization and depth of RPGs with the challenge and unpredictability of roguelikes. They're endlessly replayable, rewarding, and encourage player growth both in skill and knowledge. The mix of strategy, progression, and story makes them a perfect storm of engaging design, and for indie developers, they strike the perfect balance of creating deep mechanics on tight budgets and timelines. Maybe you can even pepper in some sort of horror setting to your game to check all your boxes. So there you go, there's my pitch. And alright, now here's the part where I put my money where my mouth is. In my game, Runes of the Abyss, I'm combining roguelike elements with RPG mechanics. It's got some procedural generation, some handcrafted levels too, random encounters, and a progression system to keep players coming back as they learn and grow. With turn-based combat, I get to focus on meaningful player choices, and procedural elements mean I don't have to hand design every single thing. It's all about getting that balance between depth and development efficiency. So as a solo dev, this genre really is that sweet spot. It lets me focus on creating systems that feel unique and engaging every time you play without needing a massive team or budget. So there it is, folks. If you're a solo dev looking to pick a genre, roguelike RPGs might just be the answer. You get depth, replayability, and player engagement without needing to make a sprawling open world or endless cutscenes. But as I said earlier, this isn't a magical formula to success, and the market is always changing and evolving, so maybe you're the developer who's going to create the next big trend. Who knows? Hopefully this gave you some insights into why this genre could be perfect for your next indie project. Thanks for watching, and hey, if you're working on an indie project, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you saw value in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.